It is night. The air is cold. Still, above Anatolia, the stars burn like ancient watchmen, silent, eternal. In the distance, a hill rises from barren earth, unremarkable, a mound of stone and soil, or so it seems. Beneath this hill lies a secret, older than the pyramids, older than Stonehenge, older than the very idea of civilization. Buried in earth and silence rests a temple, not carved by kings, not raised by emperors, but by forgotten hands, long before writing, before the wheel, before the first seeds of grain. Modern tongues call this place Göbekli Tepe. To those who built it, it may have been something more, something sacred, something forbidden, perhaps something dangerous. Massive limestone pillars, taller than any man, rise in circles below the soil. Their skins are alive with carvings, foxes leaping, serpents sliding, vultures outstretched as if reaching for souls. They stand as if watching, as if guarding, as if waiting. Here lies the impossible riddle. 11,000 years ago, humanity still wandered. No farms, no cities, no written words. And yet, those same people cut and raised stones of 16 tons, arranged as temples that would outlast memory. How? Why? For whom? Göbekli Tepe is not a ruin. It is a revelation, a monument that whispers forgotten truths, daring to suggest that civilization was born not from hunger, but from belief. So ask yourself, when the first temple rose from the earth, what God, what spirit, what vision compelled humanity to build? They called the hill Göbekli Tepe, Potbelly Hill. For centuries, it seemed ordinary. Farmers plowed, shepherds walked. No one imagined a temple lay sleeping beneath their feet. In 1963, researchers found carved fragments. They guessed a medieval cemetery. They moved on. Decades passed. The hill kept its silence. Then, 1994, German archaeologist Klaus Schmidt returned. He dug where others had not and unearthed the impossible. Stone pillars, perfect circles, reliefs cut with intent, lions in prowl, serpents twisting, vultures over headless figures, images full of meaning in a language no one remembers. And the age, 9,600 BCE, 11,000 years ago. Perspective, 7,000 years before the pyramids, 6,000 years before Stonehenge, 4,000 years before writing. No metal tools, no beasts of burden, no wheels, hunters, gatherers. Yet they built a monument that defied the story of our beginnings. Then, another shock. Around 8,000 BCE, after centuries of use, they buried it. Not neglect, not ruin, a deliberate entombment. Why? To honor, to protect, to forget. Today, less than 10% is excavated. More circles wait in the dark, more pillars, more carvings, more secrets. Göbekli Tepe is not just a site. It is a shadow on history, a temple that should not exist, yet does, whispering that our story is older, stranger than we dare believe. Roll time back 11 millennia, the Ice Age retreats, rivers swell, a new world wakes. Across the Fertile Crescent, wild wheat moves like water, aurochs and gazelle roam. Change gathers on the wind. There are no cities, no kings, no script, only bands of hunters and gatherers moving with the seasons. And yet, on a lonely hill, eternity is carved into stone. Pillars 5 meters tall, weighing tons, raised with flint and will, set in circles, facing inward, not for the living, but for the divine. Their surfaces speak, foxes in chase, serpents in coil, vultures above, not decoration, messages, symbols, and myths etched into limestone. Some see the T-shapes as beings, headless bodies with folded arms, guardians between worlds, ancestors, gods, or something more primal. Why build this? Archaeologists suggest a gathering place, tribes returning to feast, to worship, to bind themselves with ritual, great fires, roasted boar, gazelle bones in heaps, not a village, a threshold, between wild and sacred, between chaos and meaning. Those builders are gone, their names erased, their prayers silent. Only the stones remain, waiting for us to remember. When the earth peeled back, a temple complex emerged. Not homes, not hearths, circles, pillars, presents. Each enclosure centers on two giant T-pillars, facing one another like guardians or adversaries in eternal stillness. Heights over 5 meters, weights up to 16 tons, cut, dragged, raised by hunter-gatherer hands. The carvings are alive, snakes in motion, foxes leaping, scorpions creeping, vultures with wings wide, ready to lift souls skyward. On some stones, human arms run along the sides as if the pillars themselves are figures in disguise. Spirits turn to rock. Alignment feels deliberate, some whisper of constellations. Others see ritual stages for feasts of blood and fire. The site is vast, more than 20 circles revealed. Geophysics hints at hundreds more. What we see is only the surface, but there are no houses, no daily clutter. This was a place to converge, to worship, to feast. Gazelle, boar, deer, birds, bones speak of banquets, then the ending. Around 8000 BCE, they buried it, stone by stone, circle by circle. A temple, sealed like a sarcophagus. Reverence, fear, protection. We can measure stones, describe carvings, but the meaning remains entombed in silence. Göbekli Tepe is a temple, but unlike any other, a wound in the timeline of history. Every stone uncovered raises questions the earth refuses to answer. Who built it? We know they were hunter-gatherers, but nothing more, no names, no rulers, no records. How could nomads have raised such monuments? Were they guided by a leader? Or did scattered tribes unite under one vision? The stones stand, but the voices are gone. Why was it built? Not for shelter, not for life, but for ritual. Some say it was for the ancestors, others for the stars. Every carving asks the same question. What drove them? The carvings themselves are a riddle. One stone shows a headless man surrounded by vultures, perhaps a sky burial, flesh left to birds, the soul carried to the heavens. If true, this hill was more than a temple. It was a bridge between life and death. Somewhere around 8000 BCE, the people of Göbekli Tepe made a choice that still haunts us. They sealed their temple, not abandoned, but deliberately hidden. Why? Was it devotion? Closing a sacred chapter forever? Was it fear? Turning away from spirits that no longer answered? Or was it something darker? An act of protection? Hiding knowledge the world was never meant to carry. The truth remains buried, buried with the stones. Less than 10% is excavated. Beneath the soil may lie hundreds more circles. What waits below? More beasts? More ancestors? Or an answer too heavy for us to bear? Göbekli Tepe is not just archaeology. It is a mirror. Every stone is a question. Every carving, a shadow. Every silence, a reminder. The past does not yield its secrets easily. For every pillar, a theory. For every carving, a whisper. But certainty, none. The first temple of humanity. Klaus Schmidt believed this was it, the earliest true shrine. If so, faith came before farming, belief before bread, worship before wheat. Civilization itself may have been born from ritual or a shrine to the dead. The vultures circling headless men suggest death rites. The pillars themselves, faceless bodies with folded arms, ancestral spirits, guardians of the afterlife. If so, this was a gate, not for the living, but for souls, an ancient observatory. Some claim the pillars align with constellations. One carving may record a comet strike around 10,950 BCE, a memory of the younger Dryas, when ice returned and shaped human fate. If true, this was not only a temple, it was a cosmic clock, a message written in stone, the birthplace of agriculture. Feasts and rituals demanded food to sustain the gatherings. Farming may have begun not as survival, but as devotion, to feed the sacred, to feed the gods. And then the forbidden theories, whispers of lost civilizations, echoes of Atlantis, even beings from the stars. No proof, only whispers. But Göbekli Tepe feels too advanced, too impossible for the world we thought existed 11,000 years ago. And every path returns to the burial. Why hide it? To close it forever? To protect it? Or to keep us from knowing? Göbekli Tepe is not a monument of answers. It is a monument of questions. And each stone whispers, "You do not yet understand who you are." When Göbekli Tepe rose from the soil, it shattered history. For centuries, we believed the ladder was clear. First came farming, then villages, then cities, then religion. Civilization climbed step by step, but Göbekli Tepe breaks the ladder. Here we see faith before farming, ritual before food. The past is not a straight path, it is a labyrinth. These stones are not just stone, they are thought, fossilized, proof that humans 11 millennia ago imagined myths and eternity. They did not only hunt, they dreamed, they feared, they worshipped. History no longer begins with the plow. It begins with the altar. The Fertile Crescent is not only the birthplace of agriculture, it is the birthplace of belief. And now Göbekli Tepe has left archaeology and entered legend. It joins the pyramids, the Moai of Easter Island, the stones of Stonehenge, no longer a site, an icon. In 2018, UNESCO declared it a World Heritage Site. Now, thousands walk among its pillars, older than cities themselves. The silence there is heavy, not because it is understood, but because it is not. Yet, even with fame, we know almost nothing. Less than 10% has been uncovered. Beneath the hill, countless secrets wait. Every answer only deepens the mystery. Every discovery opens another wound. Göbekli Tepe remains what it has always been, a monument of silence, a mirror to our ignorance, a reminder that the roots of humanity reach deeper and darker than we can comprehend. Stand before Göbekli Tepe, and you are not looking at ruins. You are staring into a mirror. For 11,000 years, it lay buried. When unearthed, it gave no answers, only questions. What spirit drove hunter-gatherers to carve gods into stone? What hunger pulled them, not for food, but for meaning? And why, after centuries of ritual, did they bury it all? Göbekli Tepe whispers that civilization did not begin with walls or wheat. It began with belief, with ritual, with mystery. Our ancestors were not primitive in mind. They dreamed, they feared, they prayed, and in their prayers, they carved eternity. Perhaps the revelation is not about them, but about us. Because beneath our machines and towers, beneath our screens and cities, we are still haunted by the same questions. Who are we? Where do we come from? Why are we here? On a barren hill in Anatolia, the wind still moves. The pillars stand, silent, watchful, eternal, guardians of a forgotten story, witnesses to a truth we may never fully grasp. And a question lingers in the dark. Were they leaving us a message, or hiding something we were never meant to know? Göbekli Tepe does not give us answers, only questions. And there are countless more, buried in the shadows of our past. Stay with us. Subscribe. Together, we will keep searching for the truths that history tried to hide.